That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
That's bullshit.
Good news tonight. He's here.
That's bullshit.
Motherfucker had me worried for a minute, guys. He really did. Ah. Well, it's good to be here anyway. Happy Friday. Happy not show Friday. Not Tinley Friday, not Arlington Friday, not Schaumburg Friday, or some California show or some Daytona show Friday. And I was able to nail down a quintessential superstar. I don't know. We're going to have to see how bright this star shines. I'm pretty sure he shines pretty fucking bright on his own. He doesn't really ever need a spotlight. I don't think he ever needed a spotlight from his early days using the Pornhub logo as his logo on his t-shirt to his anime usage of his awesome character guy, who I kind of want to make a sign of because it just seems so awesome to make a fucking sign of that. But yeah, Bob is here. He's in the waiting room, and I'm not going to let him in yet because he made me wait. So I'm going to make him wait at least a few minutes. All right. Well, look, I'm going to get through some sponsors real quick. Watch some more people pile in the room. We had 28 people that they say are watching now. Let me jump over to the sponsor window and show you guys Reptiles to You as I go through every week, twice a week, and chant about my friend Debbie Price at Reptiles to You. Thank you, Debbie, so much for the hard ass work that you do for me and for all of the people that ship with Reptiles to You or that want to ship with Reptiles to You. You can get a whoppingly great discount if you have a great shipping day or 3 great shipping days between now and the end of the year. Go on Reptiles to You, fill out an account, and use the coupon code capital BALL0922 at checkout for an additional 20% off of your entire day's worth of shipping. Not just one shipment, everything in that day. You get 3 usages until the end of the year. So, Reptiles to You. Thank you a lot, guys. MorphMarket. You got to be there. Looks like I got a message. Express Think that already sold, though. I saw the alert on the new MorphMarket app on my Droid phone that I downloaded this week. So I was able to, push notifications were a lovely thing for the MorphMarket app, because now when I'm holding my phone throughout the day, when you guys are messaging me on Facebook about who you want to see on this podcast next, I'm getting alerts of when I'm actually making real money to be able to keep bringing you some of these podcasts. So without further ado, morphmarket.com. Check it out. A lot of new features coming, genetic testing and all that type of stuff also coming along pretty soon. It'll be pretty interesting. Reptiles, rack systems and incubators from C-SERPENTS.com. C-SERPENTS, Chris Nettles, one of my oldest supporters and friends. Go check him out. He's got lots going on. I'm sure he's enjoying the lull between shows of not having to pack that trailer full of shit. Exotics by Nature on MorphMarket. My own very page now that's up to over 200 and something fucking reptiles for sale that aren't moving as fast as I'd like them to. But it's the economy, guys. It's not Morphmarket, right? Maybe we can touch on that a little bit, Mr. Vu. US ARC. You shouldn't have to go too far into this. Our guest tonight is a gold sponsor of US ARC, which is lovely. If they'd have had tiers, I guess back when I was running, I probably would have been a gold sponsor, but now I'm too broke to be a gold sponsor. But I'm working on it towards that with these US ARC signs. So hopefully we can all help US ARC get further here shortly. usarc.org. Infinite Possible Pythons. These are my headlining sponsors. Some of your logos are above me and below my picture right now. Infinite Possible Pythons, Mr. Nathan Granoff, always hustling. John Woodruff, Mad River, definitely always hustling. He was announcing that he got some new animals this week. I've seen quite a few people post their animal purchases this week. I don't know if that's their own version of a market stimuli or not, but hey, you know what? And the market's kind of stale and prices are going down. It's the time to buy, right? Reptile Collective, he's been posting some more stuff. Steve Beamer. I'd love to hear from you, Steve-O. Come on the show. I'm going to start doing these sponsor spotlight interviews here soon before I start losing sponsors. I know that Shane's one that's been recently interviewed by the Fat Man, so I probably want to just kind of not start with Shane, but whichever one of you sponsors wants to do the first sponsor spotlight, get with me. Y'all jump and fight amongst yourselves to be the first one. Savages, will it be you with your new t-shirt that looks like you posted it on a like print on demand website for your t-shirts? But anyway, I'm sure that looked great as long as it's not New Orleans with the fucking fleur-de-lis. I love you both. Shane Kelly, that sign of yours is going to be ridiculous this week when I'm done. I think it's going to be insane. The standoffs and the fuse for the router are being yet delayed another several days by Amazon or whatever, delay situation. Oh, I think it was U.S. Postal. Strange Creations, Josh Strange out there repping, helping me promote the podcast, helping Fat Man promote his stuff too, as well as promoting his own snakes. Josh, get to it. Promote yourself more. Bravo Zulu, the newest sponsor and the least represented sponsor with the least logo displayed. But Eileen and I have an understanding right now because I'm just wanting to look like NASCAR over here, but I just can't figure out how. And finally, my guest for this evening, Bob's freaking balls. And, I meant to have him on Ballsh like, I don't know, years ago, many years ago. Very end. Bob, how are you tonight, buddy?
I am good. Maybe I should take these off so it doesn't glare.
It doesn't matter, man. There you go. Whatever works for you. Whatever worked for you. With or without glasses, you're a death-defyingly beautiful man. So, yeah, look at that hair, man. Look at the lines. Dude, Jesus, did you go get your haircut today for this?
Just for this.
You did. You did. All right. Well, hey, that's fine. That's fine. How are you?
Been good, man. It's been busy. Everything's been pretty good.
With you. I should have come set for that. Fuck. Really? I got to drive.
We're moving in to this new snake building in about 3 weeks. So we're a little bit busy with that.
Did you recently buy a house too? Or how long ago was that?
We moved into this house about almost 2 months ago.
Okay. Yeah. Our mutual friend, my old local friend, Nick Markham, who did this show a few weeks ago, had told me that you had recently bought a new home. So congratulations on your new home.
Thank you. Yeah. He came out here for the show in Atlanta and stayed with us for that weekend.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Hope you fumigated. Love you, Nick. Love you very much. But, I've known Nick a long time, and he used to live right down the street from here. So you're in Georgia, correct?
Yep.
How far outside of Atlanta and stuff are you?
I am, if you land into Atlanta at the airport, I'm about 20 minutes from there.
Okay. So you're pretty much suburban Atlanta then.
Right. It's still fairly country-ish, but still close enough to everything. That's what we like.
Yeah, I know that Atlanta gets real tight, real quick, right? Like it's kind of centered in that one basic area around the airport and downtown, right? It's been a long time since I've been through there. Do you like it there? Would it be like your ideal? I mean, obviously you bought a nice new home there and everything, so you must want to settle there, but.
Yeah, so my whole family, everyone pretty much moved back down to Florida. That's where we're originally from.
Okay.
So my parents moved back down there. My brother and my sister moved back down there. So it's in Atlanta. It's just me and my youngest sister left.
Oh,
but I don't miss Florida at all. Like literally.
What part of Florida were you in?
We're in Orlando. We grew up.
Okay. All right. So that's kind of that's kind of a cruddy spot. I mean, I guess it's a good spot if you have like, business needs, metropolis business needs, right? Because it is a fairly large.
Every year, it's like you're like stressed out about a hurricane or something like that. My parents lost one of their rental houses this year to the hurricane. I got flooded. It's like it's just too much. And I was like, and the laws down there are stupid. with FWC.
Right. Yeah, as long as you're not trying to do much with colubrids in Georgia, you're probably all right. I mean, I know your colubrid laws can be a little stitchy.
No corn snakes.
No corn snakes. Yeah, no corn snakes, which really sucks. I mean, it's such a widespread, strange, a widespread pet species to have a law against it, but being native.
We're working on it. I met with the state herpetologists a month ago. And they are very open to our suggestions to do a permitting system for corn snakes here. So we're working on it. I think with any luck, maybe within the next 2 years, we might get that rule reversed.
Well, reflect on to our Louisiana situation, bro. We've always had a pretty good run here with our native species permit. It's like $150 a year for native, for residents, and it's really not terrible. Yep. Considering that the government gets their piece and, we get our peace of mind.
Right. And the department here, they are so scrapped for money. If, they can get 100, 200 people to sign up for the licensing every year, every bit little helps them, because they don't even, honestly, I'll tell you right now, when I get inspections done, they can't tell you the difference between a corn snake and a mutation king snake. With the amount of mutation corns out there, they probably can't even tell the difference between the species.
Yeah, and that's surprising, but we run into that same sort of thing here with Louisiana law enforcement, wildlife agency as well, right. Especially with turtles and stuff. They don't really fare in to understand the differences in a lot of the shelled life here. They would just rather call turtles native. So basically, they'll be just like, if you read the law deep enough in Louisiana, you can read that even any tortoise that has crossed the state lines, Bob, is considered a native species. Oh man, it's really fucking twisted. But it was also to take one guy down that was just killing the box turtles. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's stressful, but you don't have any python legislation there to worry about, right?
They are now looking to ban Burmese pythons here, which again doesn't affect me in any way. However, I have friends that keep burms. So we did meet with the state for that. We plead our case. They seem to be very understanding where we're coming from. And we showed them the data that burms cannot survive up here. There's enough evidence of that. There's enough research for that. And I told them I've herped in Florida before. We've never found a berm outside of Everglades City. I've tried traveling north of there. We've looked outside of it. I go down to the Everglades twice a year to go herping. And we've never found a berm outside of Everglades around. Yeah,
you'll find green iguanas and stuff up in Fort Lauderdale and things like that. But there's no Burmese up there.
No, I found Ballsh chameleons inside Orlando.
Right, and I mean, they make a lot of sense. I mean, those animals are really durable in the cold.
Ballsh chameleons are the most durable, most prolific animals in the wild. And as soon as you put it in an enclosure, it dies. That's just chameleons for you.
Well, it's like keeping an insect or a bird or something like that. But it's not Bob's chameleons or whatever. It's Bob's balls. And you caught on the ball pythons pretty hardcore in the earlier part of your life. Or the earlier part of this whole existence here. When was that? When did you get into this as even as a hobby, right? I'm sure you've been asked the same question 100 times.
So I bought my first ball python when I was in high school. But I didn't really look at like the actual industry itself. Like most people.
First of all, you're an Asian guy, which means you're either in your 20s or in your 70s. How old are you, dude?
You don't even know. I could be
45. You could be 25.
Right. If I told you I was 26 and you'd be like,
do it.
Maybe.
Yeah, you could do it.
Maybe I could be 45.
You could do it. You'll never live that down, bro. Yeah. You'll never live that down. That youthful look will always be yours. But how old are you?
I am 33 this year.
You're 33 this year. Okay, so this would have been, a pretty good bit ago, right? Almost 20 years ago.
I went to the Daytona show in 2007. That was my first like experience with like morphs and mutations.
That was a good experience then. Like that was a pretty good experience.
That show was nuts. It was
that show was fucking wild, bro. That was a
like
wild
shoulder
time.
to shoulder like this, walking, right? And then you have a notebook. You have to write everything down. Like, hey, this guy's table had pastels for $600.
Unless you ran into Kabilka in the aisle and he handed you a little postcard that you can write it on, but he was doing that. But but nobody knew who the fuck he was. You didn't know he was. He was walking around the aisle. He'd be like, "Who is this kid handing out cards with note cards on the back of them, fucking and golf pencils? You know, who the fuck is this kid?" But yeah, man, 2007.
He wasn't vending in 07, huh?
Oh, no. He was still buying in 07.
I think that was the year like he bought like a lavender albino. Like
he did buy the lavender albino at that show for Ben Siegel. Yeah, he bought an adult male lavender albino from Ben.
Yeah, I remember that. I was watching this transaction from a mile away.
Yeah, Pete wanted that animal. Pete was pissed. Pete was fucking mad as shit. And Pete said, "Who bought it?" And I said, "The kid over there with the glasses, with the older guy."
Yes.
And he said, "Oh, really? I'm going to go ask him for a breeder loan." He fucking beelined right over there and said, "Kabilka, you, Justin, right? Yeah. I want to do a breeder loan. I'm Pete Call." And they worked it out. I don't know how well it worked out for either one of them, but it worked. They worked it out. That's amongst them. But 07 is a great show.
07 Daytona show was like pretty wild. I spent my whole freshman year scholarship check. I bought a pastel male.
Okay. That was $1,000. No, that wasn't $1,000. It was like $800, $750.
$800. And I bought some leopard geckos. I was pretty heavy into leopard geckos. And I bred leopard geckos from my freshman year of college through my senior year. And I paid my way through college with leopard geckos and ball pythons. I hatched my first clutch of ball pythons in 2009. I did pastel to normal. That was pretty cutting edge. 2010, I made my first lesser bee. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And 2011, I made, I think I had 6 clutches that year. That was my big year. That was my breakout year. I had 6 clutches. And after 2011, I graduated college and didn't get a real job because I have a degree in psychology. So I kind of just did random shit. And in 2013, I started doing insurance sales. I made good money doing that. So I invested it all.
And that intrigued me when I learned that about you because you seem totally the part. What did you do? Yeah. Well, what did you do though? Did you do life? What was your specialty? Life insurance?
Life. Yep.
Yeah. Cause you strike me as that guy. Not that that's a bad thing. I think you're better at selling life insurance to me than Brandon Bokeh is selling life insurance to me. But then again, I never thought Brandon Bokeh had much of a career selling life insurance. So, but then again,
life insurance is to me was easy because I am very good with numbers, obviously.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't an Asian joke, but yeah, obviously.
I was like obsessive with like my materials. I knew everything, that every product we had, every small thing. I studied it, and I got very good at it. I became a director for an insurance company in 2014
at an extremely young age for such a position.
Yeah, it was really strange because I do all their interviews. I hired people, I fired people, I trained people, and I was a 24-year-old kid. Training 40, 50-year-old dudes and telling them they can be doing better in their career, and I did that for 3 years, 3 years. On my 3rd year I left, but on my 3rd year in 2016 I felt like I had enough ball pythons where I can do this for a living. And at the time I was doing about, I did 48 clutches in 2016, and I just quit my job. I had called my boss. He came over.
And that's a pretty extreme position to quit a job in. You know what I mean? Like, that's a pretty extreme position. Like, at that point, you had earned a lot. You had worked very hard to get where you were. And at that point, the allure of being your own boss had really gotten to be that alluring. So, yeah.
Right.
But that's also the time when like Kevin Fink quit his job and a few other people really were able to like fucking do it. And I think that's wonderful. I really do. I really think that's an inspiring thing. And something else that inspired me about your early career was that you actually bought and resold several things and kept a clean nose in a time period when I think it was highly frowned upon. Okay.
Yeah. So you remember you were around for the Natita days, right?
Yeah.
Right. So they were like attacking anybody that cut eggs.
This was a group on Facebook that would basically diatribe against anything that the common man breeder was doing.
Right. If they don't agree with it, they are going to attack you for it.
Right.
Cutting eggs, literally buying and reselling, which again, back in the day, the term flipping animals was such like they had this stigma against it, right?
It had a huge stigma against it.
Right. If you bought an animal and you sold that animal, like, they expect you to buy an animal and it's supposed to die in your facility. You know, or
guys like us that grew with the stigma that we were not buying our extra, extra bit of what am I trying to say? Well, look, let's see some shout outs to some of these folks in this chat so we can call out some of these cocksuckers that are being rude in here. There's always got to be one in the many, right? Will's Hella Heat, thanks a lot for being such a great supporter. CRM, good to see you, dude, in here all the time. Along with Will, Genomic, Strange Creations, one of my sponsors in the house, been waiting since the early on time. This is earlier in the chat. BNS Reptilia, Cajun Constrictors, H&H, Quirky Snakes. Dude, you brought the heat tonight, brother. Bods. Like, I mean, I could just keep going down. Forward Motion, PCF Funny Royals, Pravada. I mean, geez, I need a producer. You know that, for all of these comments when you guys come on this show and you get these guys going and going. I even lost my spot up here. Brian Carter's here. Beast Morphs is here. Chris Osborne is here. John Feely is here. Some asshole calling us cocky so he can eat a dick. A couple other people, whatever, reptilian. And we'll move on. But yeah, Natita was ridiculous. And what did it stand for?
It stands for noobs in the industry to avoid. And I was
okay. Yeah, noobs in the industry to avoid. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm sure I probably popped up on there too.
For a while too,
What's that?
They got really racist for a while.
Oh, too. I'm sure. I mean, and honestly, anything that we can do, to have our opinion heard. Some of these fucking people are just going to be assholes. You know what I mean? And some of them are gonna be jealous of a situation. Like now, look, man. I mean, now we see this money come into the hobby again. Like rush in the last couple of years. And how does that make you feel? Like, I mean, is this the first where you feel that since you've been doing this as a career, that this whole COVID money thing and this whole business boom that you've experienced, that ball python have experienced in the last 2 years? How do you feel about it? Like, do you like it? Does it scare you? I mean, does it have a bearing in your life? I mean, you're doing this full time now, so you have to have an opinion.
So back in the early 2000s, when people were buying snakes for $30,000, $20,000 for single genes and double genes and hoping that they strike gold, it's a very similar situation now that these guys are coming in with a business mindset. They didn't come in like I did. I came in with that's a ball python. Wow, this one's yellow. And, I was just buying random shit. I didn't have that business mindset until later on when I was like, man, there's a lot of money in this. And I'm watching guys like Justin make his YouTube videos and stuff like that until it really clicked in my mind. And to go back to the whole flipping thing that you mentioned earlier, that's how I built my collection early on in 2012, 13, is because I was making good money with insurance. And I would go out and spend $10,000, $15,000. I would buy 50 snakes and I would keep 10 of them for myself into my breeding stock and resell the others. I just keep them for about 3-4 months, go to a show and sell them. And for some people, they're like, oh, you're just flipping animals and something like that. And I'm like, that's fine. And, if that's how you feel. I got 10 breeder females I didn't have to pay for. And then after, 2-3 sessions of that, I got 50 great breeder females I didn't have to shell any money out in my pocket for. And again, if you've looked up my reviews, I have pretty flawless review. I don't sell shit.
Yeah, you did it pretty cleanly. Like like cleaner than most people ever could imagine, if you consider that you've got some big names in the reseller department and then there's no names at all, right? Like in my opinion, you've got like, you've got your Mark Bell's, Reptile Industries and Gourmet Rodent and like then they resell. And I mean, like, fuck it. Like that's just part of it, right?
Yeah.
That's part of the process, right? But then you've got Bob Clark who resells based on the fact that he can't produce either any or enough. And then he resells on the premise that he produced, right?
Right.
And that was never you. Like you never were like, yeah, I made this.
Yeah.
I remember when you posted that you made something and I was like, I like that he posted that he made that.
Yeah.
And that he didn't, you know what I mean? Like, because I think even Barchuk went through the snake bites thing for a while, kind of skated under it with that. Now he doesn't. Now he's very vocal about the fact that he buys and resells animals to sell to the audience. But a few years ago,
I was pretty open with the whole process. That was kind of my thing, was transparency. I want to make sure everybody got good animals.
I say the same, not the same. Brian Carter said that's the same way I smoked free weed all through college, laughed my ass off. Flipping and reselling are not the same. And I mean, I get you. Yeah, I get you. I mean, honestly, I think this dude did a fairly solid job of it. And it was not until I watched him do it with animals of my own that I really felt a little more confidence in it. And in my bad times, in my acting out, in my reaction, I wronged this man. And we smoked a bowl over it. And, I wish we could have drank some wine over it too, because that's really killing me right now. I'm going to go home and drink wine now. Thanks a lot. I don't need a meeting. I never had a problem, but I try to avoid it. I'm Irish and it's just a natural proclivity. But yeah, man, I was really admirable to it because you had like Suzette and S&S Exotics going to shows with a literal flipper doll, like a literal battery operated dolphin. And she was like, you think I'm a flipper? You want to buy a doll? I'll sell you a doll. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, Suzette. I was like, you're going, well, Bob does it and he gets away with that shit. And I'm not going to let, because they used to come. I know he used to do some Repticons and stuff and travel in the earlier days. And I was just like, dude, people do it. But the thing is that most motherfuckers don't do it clean.
Right.
They don't.
So with the animal reselling, I think the biggest factor of that is health of the animals and you're buying from the right people. I was very lucky. I met Eugene Bassett. I met the Mark and Kim Bell. I met really good people that I trust their animals. They come in clean. They come in healthy.
And you kind of fell in right before the dino, destruction, right? Like right before the, not dino destruction. You know what I'm saying? The virus.
Nido.
Yeah. Nido.
Yeah. So that was Nido was like later on. There was
right. That's what I'm saying. You averted the Nido crisis because the Nido crisis wasn't big enough to really fuck you when you were doing that. But if you would have waited, dude, if it would have been like 3 more years before you'd have tried a business model, 4 more years, bro, you might have fucking been right in the shit of it.
I might have killed all my animals, honestly,
or other people's, and not been the heinous for it. You know what I mean? Like been heralded the heinous for it, right? They would
good timing. It was just maybe it was good timing because 3 years later, I already had 100 breeder females, that I acquired pretty much at no cost to me because I was able to resell and keep a bunch of animals for myself.
Now, how do you feel that business model would serve today for someone that was coming up in a spot similar to your own? Do you think it still holds water? Or do you think now it's all about branding and it's all about you and your t-shirts and your fucking stickers and your Instagram followers? And
I think it's important,
who sends Barbosa the next t-shirt to dance in for a fucking TikTok?
I think it's still important because, like, let's say you're building a new business and you're going in this with a business mindset.
Yeah.
And you want a business, you want a name, you want to make a name for yourself, but you only produced 3 clutches last year. That means you only have 21 animals to sell on average. It's hard to get good reviews on MorphMarket. It's hard to get your name known at shows. I'm not telling everybody to go out, buy wholesale packages and resell them. Okay. I'm just saying that it still could work if you wanted to do this. You buy in 50 animals, you go to, you make sure they're healthy, you make sure who you're buying from is good. And you make sure you're doing the right thing, right to your customer. You're not remarking things as pos hets. You're not doing all the shady shit I've seen, throughout the years. I've seen guys buy animals from me and mark them as hets. I've seen guys, do all kind of weird, shady shit.
I had one of our listeners today message me a a series of pictures of a big normal female, and it's not a yellow belly or a pastel, and it's not het for pied, and it's not this and that, and it's like it might be all of these things, and I was like, yeah, sure, it might be a fucking Burmese, but it's not. It might be a tortoise, but it doesn't have legs. I mean, that's it. It's at the end of the day, that's it. Yeah, so whole back rack podcast, Jessica from Tuesday, we talked about you a little bit on that show because that was a lot of fun when Jessica and I got to cut it up here this Tuesday. What's Bob's current NIDO policy? I mean, are you testing everything, or where are you at with it?
So we're testing every half a year. So we tested about 3 months ago. We pick one animal per rack. We've been very lucky. We have a local vet that does it for us.
Okay.
He works for, I have a friend here that's partnered on some projects with me, and that vet works exclusively for him. So we test one animal per rack every half a year. I feel like I've read enough of this research, and I've talked to her enough. It's like, even if an animal tests negative, it's not 1000% sure that it does not carry the virus, because if it stresses out enough, then it can express itself. So there's not one certain way of staying clear from this virus. I don't know.
There's never going to be a protection 100%. There's never going to be. I mean, if you go to a show, you could bring it back from a show. You go, I mean, that's the way it is. But if you were going to go down that road of reselling again, would you set up an entirely, dedicated room to your incoming projects and stuff? I mean, it definitely wouldn't be a cheap endeavor to go down the road of.
If you decide to do, if I was to do this again, and I decided, hey, I'm going to start reselling animals, I would set up a separate room where all of my inventory would go. It would not come near my personal breeding collection.
Yeah. But the market's pretty full right now, dude. I don't know if this is I got the ticker rolling down there that says this is entertainment purposes. I only got the crypto ticker rolling down there just to be sure people don't do stupid shit with their money, go out and dump it in. But I mean, the market's pretty full of snakes. I don't know exactly, where in the world, if I was going to try to buy and resell, where I'd even put my cash, man. I mean, where's your favorite spots now? I mean, let's talk about this as like since the wonderful Ahmad Osman did not make it to this podcast last week, and you are our heaviest hitting ball python guru to date, other than Mark Mandic, who had shitty Canadian internet. Here we are. I want to know, I want to make this ticker worth me writing right here and listen to what Bob Vu's got to say about where the hot is and where the not is.
Right. So
don't tell me DG clown and expect me to be like, oh, really? Tell me more. I'm already what
only produce DG clowns. You make
that's it. Only produce DG. You know what? You only produce DG fucking tri-stripes with this motherfucker right here with the market. I got tri-stripes next door that are $1,000, but apparently if you drop DG into a pastel tri-stripe, it's worth the bee's knees. It's worth all the money. I was on your MorphMarket before the show. I was fucking off waiting for your slow ass to come. And and I decided to check it out. But really, they're over here, dude, they are over here hand over fisting Joel and his puzzle. Like Nixon says, the puzzle GHI king is here. Okay, guys, he hit good on a clutch. I mean, fuck, could have happened to any of us. I mean, well, it couldn't happen to me. I sold all my puzzles years ago like a dumbass. But, it definitely could have happened to anybody with puzzles. But really, Bob, where are you at, man? I mean, they're over here. I'm loving this puzzle stuff you've been posting, Joel. Let's take the thunder from Joel. Come on, steal it. State 48. Yeah.
So the puzzle project is intriguing. It's a cool project, but you got to consider there's so many good projects out there.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Don't even go down my road of puzzle. You don't have to embellish me with that. No. Tri-stripe's fine too.
Yeah. So there's how many snakes are on MorphMarket right now? Ball pythons, I think 40,000. Is that right?
A couple, 48,000 a couple days ago. I don't know. You really want me to look? I don't know.
Doesn't need to be an exact number. It's okay.
Yeah, sure. It could be an exact.
let's go.
As long as it's not over 50. No, it's still in the 48s. It's still in the 48s.
48,000 ball pythons on the market currently. Yeah. It does this every year. But in hatching season, we get an influx of animals in the market. But if you look through, I went through the other day. Look how many freaking normals and pastels and single gene enchies are on MorphMarket right now, when those animals realistically should be on freaking a wholesale rack somewhere. It should be at a pet store.
Sure.
Somewhere.
They should be at Reptile Industries, because I'm sure they probably need some stuff. 339 normals is not going to impact it that much, but
but there was a lot of single genes.
I get what you're saying. You get a lot of single genes and stuff like that, but you also got to think fucking how many visual clowns, dude? I mean, 4,128 visual clowns. I mean, fuck.
So yeah, like 8% of the market is clowns.
Yeah. Wow, man. I wonder why John won't give me a goddamn ticker for this website, huh? Like, he can do it. You know he can do it. You know we can have a ticker on here. You know this can look like TradingView right here, right? I kind of want that. I kind of want to see the way things move. I think it would be wicked insightful. But then again, everybody would have to just kind of chime in and kind of be on the same page together and post their animals when they're available and take them down when they're sold. And that's just not likely.
Yeah, I don't even do that.
Yeah. So it's all good. It's all good.
So with let's say 50,000 ball pythons on the current morph market, your average new under 2-year seller breeder is not going to get a lot of hits. Your morph market's not going to get a lot of hits. You're obviously guys like Justin, guys that have a lot of reviews, Ozzy.
Guys like you. Yeah, okay. You can be in that, you can be in that. You don't have to be all their friend all the time.
Yeah. So we're going to get more hits on our ads on a regular basis. I think I have like maybe 1,300 followers on MorphMarket. So they'll get a notification as I update.
And that's something too. And a lot of people, I think, lack is their MorphMarket store overall mentality.
Right. So are you doing things to get people to follow your page? Are you getting people to keep up with you as you sell and stuff like that?
1,357 followers is a pale comparison to my 171. But I mean, dude, I'm also not at the cutting edge of ball python's throat at this point either. If I have 171 followers and 100 of them are active corn snake buyers, I'm doing well. Right. Like I'm doing well to expose myself to those people, but you're doing that. You're getting those people involved and you're representing yourself at shows too, I'm sure, with that.
So your rating's going to matter. Your ads, the way you do ads matter and all that stuff. However, because there's so many breeders on MorphMarket and 50,000 ball pythons for people to look through, you're going to have to find another avenue to sell your snakes. I sell a lot on MorphMarket, but then we do very well at shows.
So, you want me to punk your MorphMarket for a minute, bro, and tell you where you're lacking?
Yeah,
let
me know.
Ready? This is where you're lacking right here. Reciprocated rating 0%. When your customers rate you, dude, start rating them back, because then when they become sellers, it strengthens their abilities.
Oh my God, I haven't been doing that. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Get in there and get those folks. You can go back and do it in the back. You can backlog do it, but you know what? That's a good thing to do, because I've noticed quite a few breeders that push their morph markets really big, that really get great reviews, don't go back and review their clients on their clients' end. And I do think that's important. So just a quick tip. What I would say do on a very strong morph market that's making a lot more money than I am. So, you know what I mean? There you go. Whenever you get out there and you're like throwing it in people's faces of, this is what I would do if I were you. That's what I would do if I were you. I don't know if that 100% Sean was for that. Probably not. But at the same time, really, I have found that now that I go back, every review I get, I go back and I click on that person's thing and I give them a very honest review. And I've had to give one negative review, but I do believe that negative review should hold forth true to the next vendor that tries to deal with that client. Because some clients, as you know, are incredibly hard to please. And if one of us can help the other ones out, then I think that all comes to it. Now, guys, whenever you guys see a review from us, know that only vendors you request things from can see that review. No other users can see that review. Okay. So if you send Bob a message and Bob clicks your username, Bob can see the review that I left on your user, but only Bob can, and only those vendors that you've absolutely done to. So Brian was talking about that, and Rate the Buyer too. It boosts their buyer ratings and let them know that it will boost your review percentage. So basically, John is making us all a slave to the eBay mentality of ratings, and it's not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing, because Bob, I got to tell you, man, since I've been doing these machines, dude, I've sent probably over 15 grand to China on faith, and I've had impeccable customer service. Like, it's been insanely good, and it's only been good like that on these companies that I get these madly good reviews from through systems like this, right? So whenever I bought a $5,000 laser, they shipped me the wrong machine, and I found out after my buyer protection had ended. Yet the company was so awesome based on all their reviews that they sent me a $3,000 part on the honor system that I would send them the right part back. And, I knew I was dealing with a company like that when I dealt with those reviews. So, dude, I think the Morph market is amazing. I think that if you had to grow up in the kingsnake.com and fauna classified world that I did, that you would fucking probably not be here right now. You'd probably be like, I don't know. I mean, you had to do it for a little while, right? Like, you sucked through it, but just when you started to take a rise, bro, is when Morph market really kicked in there.
Yeah, King Snake and Fauna was big when I was first getting started. It's where I bought a lot of my stuff. Yeah. Morph market, I think, became big in 2018, 17, 18 was when they really became big, when they started charging for accounts. That's when I signed on. I told John Layman straight up I wasn't going to be a part of a thing if it was just a bunch of free accounts and people posting whatever they want.
Just freemium.
Yeah. So,
and I don't believe the freemium model was bad in the beginning, because I think it needed a certain amount of user base to get to the point where it is.
I agree. And then when he started charging for accounts, I signed on, and me and John are good friends now. And I give him a lot of feedback for the site and all.
Oh yeah, and and your feedback is your voice is heard.
Right.
That's what I think is great about him, because I've known Jeff since before he started King Snake, and honestly, our voices were not very well heard. Our voices were more or less screaming in the dark at the same guy to do the same thing, and he was just like, I don't know what's going on. It must be the wind blowing kind of funny. I don't know what that noise is. He completely fucking ignored us for the better part of 20 years, and ultimately, here comes a site that has dominated. So is there anything about it that you would change, that you would alter, that you would make different? Do you think where it's headed is good?
I think
it's not loaded.
Yeah, they're adding a few more features. I do like the forum base that he's doing. Unfortunately, I'm not very active on there.
It's very hard.
I'm a Facebook whore, so I just stay on Facebook. But the website is great. The support group is great. I've never had an issue where where I've messaged him and haven't had a response or anything like that. They're adding a lot of cool, a lot of features. I think they're in the future. They're looking at, I can't say a lot of this stuff, but they're adding a lot of cool features for buyers and for sellers. It's going to be great.
We're looking at what a payment system he's looking at. He's looking at an integrated payment system. He's looking at an integrated database for the collection. Obviously, that'll work with Clutch. That'll work with the genetic testing and everything. Have you worked with those guys with the genetic testing at all? Have you been a part of that?
Yes, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this, but I am the very
first. Those boys would like you to chant as much as you possibly can about it.
I am the actual first paid genetic testing account.
Great.
I am serial number 1. So I sent my stuff in with them recently. So we'll get the test back here in about a week or two.
What'd you test for?
Some het clowns, because they want, and het lavenders. And 2 animals for het pides. When they have het DGs, I think I have a whole stack of stuff over there waiting for het DGs. So I think that's gonna change the industry so much. It's changed my pairings. It's changed my, my outlook on my holdbacks. I have probably 30 animals where I'm like, well, if you don't test out hets, you might not stay, So, because, I'll have like triple gene clown pos het DGs, but if they're not het pos het, if they're not hets, I don't need to keep them. So stuff like that, and it will change the way you construct your collection. The payment system, like you mentioned, that they're doing right now, I think it's going to be great for new sellers. If you're a new seller, sometimes it's hard to get a buyer to pay you. Let's say,
on the trust system for sure,
right? Like, just send me Cash App and I'll send you the snake. I promise. And
right.
And with you being a new seller, it's going to be difficult. But with the checkout system that they're going to integrate in there, okay, the money goes to MorphMarket, and then MorphMarket will pay you, the seller, after the transaction clears. Again, in your head, you're thinking, shit, I really need that $500. But I think I talked to John. They're going to do some type of escrow type system.
Yeah, it's an escrow system, and that's okay to a certain extent, as long as they're prepared for even more litigation or mediation, I should say, between two parties. Because anytime you do lengthen that system, you give people more of a chance to have complaints. Like they have. I would think that's just 100%. An assumption,
Because right now, if you buy a snake and it doesn't eat, you're shit out of luck, right? You just call the seller and you do whatever you can, and the seller is going to talk you through either whatever, or they're just going to ghost you. I think with the integrated sales system, they're going to contact MorphMarket and say they sold me a shit snake, it doesn't eat, and then they're going to send a picture in. It's sitting in a 10-gallon aquarium with 4 light bulbs.
Does not matter in the world if it is or if it's not. There are snakes that are not going to eat, especially ball pythons, especially 300 to 500 gram males that are shipped across the country to a new area. So and that is my problem. Right. That should not have anything to do with feeding, especially on a lot of species that would have that. I mean, I absolutely feel that is going to be a problem. And that would be the problem in an escrow type system like that when it comes to a live animal, would be the question of, oh, what if the customer got it in and it was in shed in pieces in the bag and they weren't happy with that? And look, man, I mean, when you're a good seller and you ship out good snakes and you're solid about your snakes, you worry about getting fucked constantly in the sale by the client. You worry constantly about the client saying, dude, I've had it all, Bob. Have you ever had a client open a box from underneath, take the animal out, then reseal a package and open it on video like it was they were opening it and it was an empty box? Because I've had that happen once.
I have not.
I've had it happen one time. That's happened to me, and I sent the guy a video clip of my security cameras in the building, Bob, of us packing the box and the box sitting there, and you could see the snake moving in the bag in the box, and then you could see my handicapped ass roll by, put the cover on it, tape it shut, and leave the building. And I asked the guy, I was like, this is what I have to show you. What do you have to show me? Right. I was like, show me the bottom of the box. My employees are taught to tape the bottom of the box a very special way. We don't use security tape, but we use a pattern of taping. And the dude had retaped the box. He just fucking retaped the box. And when I was like, yeah, man, sorry, take it up with FedEx. Yeah, I think somebody at FedEx did it. I never heard from the guy ever again.
Yeah.
And his money stayed in my account. You know what that was? That was a fucking scammer. And if a site was able to say, hold the money in escrow, I got a feeling that scammer is going to have a little bit more legs to run with. But
so maybe Brian Carter is saying, I think you're underestimating the number of people who depend on the payment to buy their label. So remember, this system is not mandatory. You do not have to use it.
You don't have to use it. Right. Yeah. It's just a benefit. But hey, man, I mean, if the percentage is competitive, it might be a great thing. I mean, if he can get it down in the sub 3% range, that would be amazing.
I told him if he can get it down to 2.5, it would be amazing.
2.5 or even if it's GoDaddy where it's like 2.5 plus 30 cents per, or something like that, because all your ticket prices, all your ticket transactions are going to be over a certain amount. So yeah, I'm with State 48. I give thumbs on that whole thing. I mean, it's all good. Wages had something possible to say and said Brian Carter true. I don't know if that's positive, but it's not like shit negative. like it was a few minutes ago. But thank you guys for all chiming in your opinion on that. I mean, hey, man, you've come a long way in a short period of time in my book. I mean, it's a long period of time in some of these folks' books, but it's a short period of time in mine to have risen to the point where you have and really not had any shit on you, bro. And like that Atlanta crew, you guys are solid as fuck. You and Luke and all of them guys. I mean, imagine, talk to me more about that. Like, where did that come in? You have like a herb society, or was that just a bunch of people at shows that just got to be friends and dress like pandas and cows and whatever the fuck else you guys have dressed up as?
We used to vend the Atlanta Repticon together, and now
I did that show one time when I sold stuff to you, and
that's
you're
right.
the only fucker I sold stuff to.
Show.
You're the only person that bought from me at that whole entire show. It was horrible. I left tail tucked and never came back to Atlanta again. But I learned my lesson. I should.
That show actually started improving, and it got really good in around 2017, 18, 19.
Mm-hmm.
COVID just crushed it, and Repticon overall, I don't think just recovered after COVID. They just got worse and worse with their management. They got worse and worse with everything. But my crew seems to be. I have been very lucky to have found the right guys to hang around. We've been very lucky to kind of been able to pinpoint. Who the good ones are in the community. It's a good group of guys I go herping with. We fly out twice a year to either Miami. Last weekend we were in Arizona. Yeah, we flew into Arizona and we went herping over there at Bob Ashley's place. It's amazing. Bob's
I'm sure that was lovely. You guys got to go out there to his museum and everything. And
yeah, he's a great host. I mean, he's just a really good host.
Yeah, but he's that guy though, man. He's such a worldly guy.
Yeah,
like he's such a worldly guy. I wish he came to New Orleans more often, and if he did, I wish he'd look me up when he comes, because he definitely avoids.
And he's like,
he comes, I'm sure. But we froze a second. Yeah, you're back. You good? You froze a second. What'd you say?
And I feel like he's so like well traveled, and then like every species we ask him, he just knows information.
He's had it. He's had it. Him and Russ Gurley are some of the coolest people to hang out with in Tinley. When you have peace to just walk around and just kind of like check this out or check that out. I mean, when those guys share their opinions, and their interests, it really goes a long way. But yeah, these guys were still on about the payment system, because there's a lag in the chat. Nixon said they were similar costs to Square. But that holding thing, nah, I'm with you, dude. Escrow, nah. I mean, I see it for certain people in the marketplace, but I think those certain people are far few in between. Right. But, it is what it is. If it's a legit seller, I think you have a leg up over dealing with PayPal. I think you're right, because honestly, I've recently had a problem with PayPal again, and I've only had a problem with PayPal 3 or 4 times in 22 years. And when I do have a problem, though, I am definitely unheard. I'm absolutely unhurt.
Right.
Like,
so
I might as well not even respond.
I've seen some breeders have their accounts locked.
I have not had that fate. I have not had that happen to me yet, but I'm getting close. And so since I'm doing this, hurricane custom business, and I'm making a new site for it right now, I'm just going to put it all in like Shopify or something and just do my own payments until MorphMarket comes up with their thing.
I'm watching some of these accounts, and I'll tell you right now, I probably take more transaction volume than all of those guys. Yeah. And I haven't had any issues with my account. They did switch me to a mandatory business account, which means I can't take friends and family.
Yeah, no friends and family.
Even if it's like from my sister. Right.
You can send it. Yeah, you can send it, but you can't receive it at all. Yeah, right. I'm right there with you. But that's new. That's just happened, a couple months ago?
I think
we just got levied into that.
Yeah, they did that because of the new tax law for this coming year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I think it's got a lot of, future. I think it's something we have to evolve, and I think them taking payments would work. I'd also like to see something like Shopify or Square or something like that integrate with it, because then you could have, bobsballs.com, and your MorphMarket inventory could be displayed there as just a clone of your MorphMarket store, and maybe not have to worry about anything, but like a plugin, kind of like they do with Etsy and Shopify. And the way you can do all of your CO and everything, and your CO would include your search engine optimization would include your MorphMarket account and your regular website, I think that would be amazing. But I think it's going to take steps to get us there. We locked up again a little bit.
I've only had one chargeback on Square ever. And it was when I manually inputted someone's credit card number in and charged them. So now I've learned from that.
That sucks. That sucks. I got a chargeback on Square, but I hadn't shipped the animal yet. Thankfully, I hadn't shipped the animal yet. It cost me a lot of money in refund fees, but I hadn't. It was like a $5,000 animal. But
so I've been doing invoices. If you just do invoices, I've never had an issue. All of my one of my main foreign customers,
PayPal invoice, you mean?
Square invoice.
Or Square invoices. Okay, Square invoices.
So I have a customer from Korea that does all of his purchases through me with Square invoicing.
Okay, and that's been
flawless,
effortless. Honestly. Yeah, no problems at all. All right, that's great. That's great. Yeah, it definitely happens everywhere. I don't like it either. I didn't like how easy it was for Square. I know Shopify had a problem. I know Kevin from Nerd and Amir from XYZ. And man, this was years ago now. This is like 5 years ago when they both set up their new websites with their e-commerce. They were both using Shopify, and they both got hosed collectively for like over $50,000 together. But that was one scammer that was running like a tri-state scam between Alabama, Georgia, and Florida, and he was having boxes shipped like it was just across the border. So he was driving to the locations, but they were in 3 different states. So their shopping cart systems were just kicking out orders to these direct, to all these addresses. And it turned out that one guy was scamming Nerd and XYZ at these locations. One person was doing it, and they didn't recover any of the animals. And I'm not sure they recovered any of the funds, which of course scared me away from.
I'm gonna tell Brian Carter. Brian Carter, you can for the international payments, Square works fine.
Yeah.
PayPal invoicing works fine, and also I'll take a check. They've mailed me checks before, and you just go out and cash them.
And bank wires are just as easy though, bro.
Bank wires, honestly,
I get you there.
Perfect too.
That's how I always did it, was bank wire, because then I at least get to see it on my side, and there's very little fee. Little fee. I mean, you're looking at $15 each side, which is minimal compared to some percentage fee you'd see on some of these transactions. Like if Bob was to sell this fucking tri-stripe for $25,000. Which probably
I request cash for that.
Yeah, cash for that. I see what you're saying. Yeah, cash that you deposit and claim with everything else. Yeah, of course. So Square and Venmo never had an issue, but it's Venmo. You never know when that's going to change.
Venmo's owned by PayPal, right?
Yeah, Venmo's PayPal now. Yeah, and all that. I mean, hey, nobody ever mentions. Come on, Jack Mahler's one. What's it called? Fuck. It's like Cash App. Oh, fuck. Come on, man. You can use it you can actually send Bitcoin to businesses. You can use the Bitcoin network. What the fuck was the name of it?
I've taken Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, taking Bitcoin, and I mean, that's not that hard. What the fuck, man? What am I? Come on, guys. It's cash. It's like Cash App.
Brian, if you have a business account on your, if you have a business checking account, you can waive those international fees too.
Yeah, for sure. So I think you've definitely come into the marketplace, sir. Shipping all over the country. I mean, shipping all over the world and doing all these big dollar things.
That's one thing I've done yet. So for exporting you're gonna want to contact a few guys that do the export, unless you apply for your master's CITES. And those guys are Michael Cole, Rob Starsman, Ricardo Martins.
And Steve Sykes is doing a little shipping too.
And there's some breeders that will do it for you, like big breeders. I'm not gonna mention their name because everyone's gonna message them.
Yeah,
they'll do it for you if you're like friends with them. So I've shipped through a few of my friends like that. I don't have a master's CITES myself, but I've had a very good experience shipping with Michael Cole and Rob. Those guys have taken really good care of me. And they do have a list of like trusted vendors they breed through. But if your first experience, just make sure everything's flawless, your paperwork's flawless, your animals are flawless, your packing's flawless, and you're going to go on their trusted vendors list. Once you're on the trusted vendors list, that's the list they send out to their international customers, and they'll start shopping with you guys.
Right. So I think that's really important to remember that too, is that now you guys have some people that are regularly sending things back and forth that we didn't have that luxury earlier in the world. Like I remember when Master File CITES came about, that was lovely. You have no idea what life was like before Master File CITES was here. It was a fucking miserable, like we really weren't able to do a lot. Like if you weren't Bob or Mike or going over there with your own shipments, you weren't doing it, guys, because you would have to file a CITES paper and you'd have to wait 6 fucking months minimum. Every time. And it's still like that for Brazilian rainbow boas, from what I understand. Like I don't think they ever added those to master file. That was one of those ones that they never added to the master file when I was doing master file CITES, but I stopped in like 2017.
Right.
Or so. I stopped doing it because after that point, you had Bob and Mike and Michael Cole and fucking like, Starsman was doing his thing. There was so many people shipping and everything that it didn't much matter.
Yeah,
so,
it definitely helps now. You can kind of just contact one of the big guys as long as you approach them in the right way. They like you. The process is so simple. You ship to them, you make sure animals are healthy, and you get paid. It's very, very simple.
Well, this might send me on a little bit of a segue when Holdback Rack Podcast wrote the term Coinbase on here, because, I mean, that's the greener way to trade crypto. But I wanted to talk to you about something you and Cedric did, and I want to talk to Cedric's French-Canadian ass alone about it at some point on an off-topic Tuesday. Maybe you come on as a guest, but you and Cedric, what's his last name?
Oh, something French.
Dusanya, something like that, right? Yeah, French Cedric.
Yeah.
And Adeline Robinson did the artwork for the ballpython.nft idea. I don't know that I love this shit. I love this fucking space. I'm all up in this space. I was all up in your space about this space when you were working on this project, and obviously now that the crypto
we haven't we haven't shut down the project. It's just
don't shut it down.
Yeah,
but, I mean, maybe
we released this 2 years ago at the boom of crypto. It would have exploded at the boom of NFTs. I just feel like it was a bad timing. Crypto dropped by like over 50% the month that we dropped. So it really was bad.
Yeah, I want to talk to Cedric more about, or unless that was your choice too, like why you chose that blockchain and things like that. I mean, I'm just curious about it. Nobody will listen to the episode, but a couple of crypto savvy.
I want to keep it kind of non-crypto savvy for non-crypto savvy people. So we try to keep it on the as simple as possible. The issue was that buying it wasn't very easy. You have to go through, you have to buy wax, all this other stuff. And again, the whole point of this project was to get people to basically donate money to more USARC through this platform, because everyone's like, oh, Bob's so broke from selling ball pythons, he has to go sell digital shit and try to come up with new ideas. And then I
think that was a really shitty way. That was that's what people that don't understand the space say. Okay. Really, I mean, that's it. I
set it up, and you can see it in the website. So I spent $15,000 to set up the blockchain, the website, the art. I spent about $15,000 on the project. And then it's on the website. I'm donating 100% of this proceeds on my end to USARC.
I still think this is going to come back around, though, bro. Like, you definitely don't kill this project. I would not keep it on wax. I'd get it on OpenSea and in ETH or in Matic or something common and easy to get.
Ether was my first choice.
Yeah, the gas fees are just too high. So ultimately, people are going to be like, what is a fucking NFT? Okay, so let me just say this, because I don't get to talk about this shit very often, and Bob may or may not want to make this his bullshit time or not, but I'm sure that when Bob is on other podcasts, they're not talking about NFTs in this project.
Do not.
They do not talk about this project. So I think it's very important that we focus on some things that other podcasts have not focused on, so we don't have to listen to other people's bullshit. Sinful Serpents, hello. Thanks for joining us so late. All right, guys. So NFT stands for non-fungible token. So just so you know, an Apple stock is an NFT. You can't divide it. But a Bitcoin is not an NFT, meaning you can infinitely divide it and make it smaller and sell fractions of it as an investment. Now, the whole idea behind Meta and all that shit with Facebook was that we would have a virtual reality or an augmented reality world in which maybe these images meant something. Maybe Bob Vu has a virtual reality house that I go hang out in my Oculus in 5 years, and I want to go check out his snake collection in 5 years, and I pop on over to his metaverse house. And there I find on his table in his metaverse house a picture of this piebald ball python. And there might be only one of these piebald ball python pictures of all the internet. And it happens to be in Bob's home, in his virtual home, or maybe even in his real home. If I, like right now, I can use a cell phone and I can download an app and I can go into somebody's house. And if they hang virtual art on their wall, I can pan around the room with my cell phone camera and it'll show up. Does that sound like Pokemon Go? That's called augmented reality, and it is coming rapidly into your future. You don't realize how rapidly it's coming until one day you're going to see people walking with glasses and you're going to be like, what's going on in those glasses? I don't think they're just glasses. And they're not going to be just glasses. It's going to be a whole new world there. And Bob was like on it with Cedric. And I'm sure Adeline got kind of roped into it. But, you know, I think you guys were on it. Whose idea was it? Was this your idea?
That was mostly Cedric's idea, but he knew I was in crypto.
I mean, I know Josh Jackie's done well in crypto. Sean Gray's done well in crypto. I mean, I didn't do well in crypto because I came way too late. I did great for a week and then I did terribly.
I mean, I've been posting about crypto since like 2015, telling people to buy Bitcoin. But again, everyone thought I was retarded.
Sadly, I never read any of your shit with any conviction.
Fake money. Go buy fake money. And
oh, no, I never thought it was fake money. I just never really focused on buying that over snakes. I never really.
Yeah, and so when Cedric approached me with the project, he tells me it's going to cost about $10,000. And I said $10,000. That's like what, a quarter of a Bitcoin. Here you go. So I just sent him the coin, and I said just make the project work. So again, we came up with the project. It was well received by the people we talked to about the project. However, the buying process was a little difficult. A lot of people kind of just gave up after 10 minutes. And I told him we need to make the buying process easier, which he says he will still work on once crypto market bounces back.
I don't really even think the crypto market doesn't need to bounce back so much as you just need to get people. Because I mean, does the market really need to be there for somebody to buy an NFT with money? I mean, if you're trying to crowdfund,
I think right now it's actually a pretty good time for us to start promoting it so that
because I mean, dude, look at have Cedric look at OpenSea, have him look at a Matic at maybe not ETH because the gas is too high, but look at Matic or look at a Solana blockchain for NFT. Because the Solana NFT, dude, Solana's taking off with NFTs, bro. Solana's
so here's the thing with ETH, with ETH is I get that the gas price is high, but we're gonna have a lot higher volume because of the ease of acquisition.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, if you go to OpenSea is ETH and Matic, and Matic is super cheap to buy, and you can buy it. Like I'll do tutorials with you on this podcast for people on how they can buy it. Like we will focus some effort of my own in my whopping 500 subscribers, but I know people actually watch this that don't hit the fucking button. By the way, I know you guys probably don't love this conversation right now, but hit the button, subscribe.
Right. We'll skip this part, Sean. It's okay. Let's talk ball pythons because that's what
we can talk ball pythons. But no, I think this stuff needs to be because this is a way to crowdfund, and it's not an auction. You don't have to be an NARBC in the front row to be seen and heard. You don't have to have money necessarily to compete with the Timberlines. And, you know, like, I think that there's a place here in this space for people to help us crowdfund, but we have to make it collectible and unique.
Right. And interesting. So the idea was that everybody has $30 to spend, and NFT was going to charge $30. If we get 1 out of 10 herpers to buy a $30 NFT, because 1 out of 10 herpers are not USARC members. I'll just throw that out right now. As of January of last year, we had 1,500 USARC members.
That's unbelievably
the whole community.
Disgusting.
Right.
That's gross.
Right.
That's
So I'm
gross.
like, what if I sell somebody a digital copy of a snake that they can eventually merge and make a different snake, a combo, whatever breeding game this could be. However, their purchase of the snake also goes directly to USARC to help fight for their right to keep snakes. So I was like, that was kind of my whole idea. It's like I can get people to donate $30 at a time instead of going to a USARC auction. Because right now, I tell you, a lot of breeders don't even enjoy the USARC auction. It gets rowdy. It gets too much.
You can't sit anywhere. You can't see anything. Some people say you can't buy anything unless you're in the upper echelons of the hobby.
Pretty much,
hey, case in point, you're the stick owner, right? Like that was your photo on this podcast, right? That was the thumbnail here.
And everyone knows I donate a lot to USARC. I like to buy stuff at auctions. I buy everything.
You won the stick in Daytona. That's what it was in that picture, right? That was the stick, right?
Yeah, I've gotten the stick 3 times already.
Yeah, 3 times. But you and Chris Nettles have probably owned it more than anybody else on the stick. But yeah, so John Feely wrote, I definitely wanted in when it started, but I agree the buying process was super frustrating for me, but I'll be patiently waiting for the future. Well, hopefully, right here, this podcast can be a reference point for Cedric to have another person in the space to shout out to. Because Bob, while I wasn't making money in crypto, actually, wait, let me rephrase that. While I was losing my ass in crypto, I learned so much about the ecosystem, dude. I had so much fun, and I still have money. I still have money in Luna that crashed like a motherfucker. I mean, it's worth a it's worth a fucking penny over what it was worth today. I really did well with it, but I'm not going to lie to you, man. I put my money on every ecosystem. I've got money in every single nook of it, from Phantom to Solana, from gaming to metaverse. I have a little bit in everything because I was fascinated with how the whole entire process worked and how the monetization of a video game could blow up into something that's probably going to be our children's economy. Like, I truly believe it will be our children's economy. I do think that there's a future here. I do not think you should surrender the project. If not anything, hone in on it and focus on something more. See, what I had in mind was like a special NFT that was based on a social media thing like this show, where right now Bob Vu said, I've got this favorite snake. Let's say it's that DG. Let's say it's this fucking crazy desert ghost, tri-stripe you have right here. Okay. I've got this picture and we actually make this an NFT and we make him write a story about it. And that story is only visible to the person that owns that NFT, because there are smart NFTs where they only unlock for the person who owns it.
Right.
And I want you guys to understand the way this process works and why it's so amazing. Bob Vu could build into his NFT that USARC would get X amount every time the object was sold, regardless of the object value, whether it was in a fixed amount of money or a fixed percentage based on the value of the object. But that every single time it was sold, USARC would get some magical deposit. Ding, somebody just made money and you made a piece too. And I think that it has place here. It got me super excited that you were involved.
That was where we were kind of, criticized on that. So every transaction of NFT on our system was going to charge 3%, 1.5% by the buyer and 1.5% by the seller. Mm-hmm. And then 1% would go to Cedric, 1% would go to me, and 1% would go to USARC. That 1% that I would receive was what's going to pay me back for basically the whole operation.
Sure.
And that was the whole deal. That's why when people are like, well, why would you spend $15,000 coming up with this program to not make any money back? I'm like, I will make my money back once this gets rolling and there's buying and selling involved between people. That was kind of our deal. And then 1% would still go to USARC. Plus, they would get whatever the NFT was sold for originally, which was the $30 what we started with. Yeah.
Right. And so smart contract for heads. That's cute. But I mean, really, do I have to produce a snake to get it as an NFT or just buy the NFT? Man, look, there's a lot of questions, Will, that we could get into on this because this is a brave new world of something. But first, we got to let Zuckerberg take control and actually get Meta in our face where we can really use these objects more. Or does somebody want to invent a ball python breeding video game like a ball python crypto game?
I got so much negative reviews for this NFT thing because, again, it's new.
It's not understood, bro. It's not
anything
understood.
That's new, get a lot of criticism. People think you're crazy. Again, everyone thought I was crazy when I quit my job to breed snakes full time. So
that's okay absolutely right. And if Snoop Dogg came in, if Snoop Dogg himself came into this space and looked around, he would find your NFT because you know that motherfucker would look. You know he would look because you know he's all up in that business. He's all up in meta business.
He's huge in the meta business.
He's huge in meta business. Yep. I mean, and look, man. This shit's got a future to it. It just gotta sometimes gotta pass. Sometimes gotta pass. So, I mean, you're probably not looking at those investments much anymore. Tell me about more other investments that don't have anything to do with digital currency or ball pythons. Where are you at in other realms? I mean, it can be real estate, automobiles, other species. Where are you? Where's Bob?
It's gonna be so right now we're obviously sinking all of our money into building my new snake room. This new snake room is going to be huge. It's going to be better. We've learned from our last build what we wanted to do better. So that's where I'm sinking all my money right now. We are keeping our rental properties. And then honestly, in the next 3 to 5 years, I would like to expand the portfolio. I would like 10 rental properties to basically take over my wife's income so that she can basically help me with the snake business. I think that's where if you're going to make a bunch of money somewhere and you just have a big chunk of money, real estate's always a good investment. It's never been a bad, but you're never going to lose money buying real estate unless you buy in, something ridiculous.
Unless you bought it last year, unless you bought in 2021. And we bought in 2021, you're proper fucked for a while.
Right. Don't buy in at 30% above market and offer over and then pay 8% interest or whatever. Obviously, if you're a very sensible person, I have a 3,000 square foot, 3,100 square foot house. We're going to be renting out for $3,500 a month, and my mortgage on it is $1,200. So stuff
like a great time though too. And pay it down.
So you just gotta be smart with your investment on especially when you're doing real estate to look for the right pieces. And I think that's where Ozzy spends a lot of his money. That's where Justin's spending a lot of his money. All the guys that very intelligent guys.
Yeah, Brock spent a lot of his money when he made a ton of money on bananas.
Brock builds hotels and shit. Brock is literally Monopoly with this.
Yeah, but banana money was that kind of money though, bro. Banana money was better money than any of y'all have seen in the last 2 years for sure.
The people who came in late don't realize who Brock Wagner is. Brock made $1 million a year for years. He was the best of the best.
Yeah, he made a lot of fucking money and had a full-time job the whole time as a cop.
Full-time cop. He's a full-time cop because he enjoys it. And then he made $1 gazillion doing this because he's just good at it.
He even got investigated by the police department he was in because of all the money he fucking made. But clean.
Obviously clean because he was able to invest that into hotels.
Yeah. Well, he said, I'm clean because they would have never, ever let me not be clean if I was not clean. There was no way I was getting out of that, because they really looked at him
if you talk to Brock now, it's a totally different Brock from 10 years ago. The guy is just chill. He just gets to enjoy the snake thing.
Yeah, I think the Brock guy had more more altercations with his a long gone Brock too.
Long gone Brock, right?
Right. And I'd like to think that I'm also a long gone me. I'm still very much me, right? But I'm not in the middle of the worst time of my life. So, it is what it is. We are Beast more laughs to getting investigated. But that's gonna happen, right? When you're making that kind of money. When
you make $1 million in this business
and you're a cop. You make $1 million in any business and you're a cop, they're gonna look at you, bro.
Yeah, they're gonna look
at you. If you were in the FBI, they'd probably tell you can't do that. They'd probably be like, you can't do that. You got to choose that or this.
Yeah,
pick.
Hell, even if you're not a cop, I guarantee you, Justin or Ozzy or whoever, their accountants are like, their minds blown right now.
Oh,
what do you
for
mean
sure.
you made that much money last year selling ball pythons?
Selling
you know,
snakes.
Yep.
All the accountants that told them they were out of their fucking minds. But then again, Ozzy's been at it almost as long as me, bro. Like, that's a long time. Like, I remember Ozzy Boy. And yeah, I can't wait to talk to him about his early website, like his first site and who made his logo and all that fun shit. Because them dudes are long gone. If I'm not wrong, I bought my very first visual ball pythons from the guy who built Ozzy's very first website. The guy that made Pete Call's website. The only reason the dude had ball pythons worth selling babies of to me for the money he did in 2000 was because he was paid for in snakes by these people in the 90s to do their websites. But yeah, I can't wait for that. And he did reschedule. I think we're up for the 11th of November, whatever Friday that is that week or whatever. Ozzy will be here on the show, guys. So Ozzy has rescheduled. And he felt absolutely awful about not being able to make it. But you know what? I did not feel absolutely awful about having a break after doing two of these.
Brian says the proof is in the longevity and success. And
yeah,
it's like,
let me pull that comment up. Some people have bad to say about anyone. The proof is in the longevity and success, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, like for the guys that have lasted this long in the industry and have made the amount of money that they have, like Brock, I mean, if you didn't truly enjoy reptiles, he would have been out. He made his
there was too much drama. I think the money was made, and I think the money he would have just bounced. But you know, I got to tell you though, right about that time, you know what happened with Brock? He fell in with Winston, and you know as well as I do, when you fall in with Winston, life just gets easier and nicer because Winston's just an easier, nicer kind of guy. Like, I don't understand how that dude is as smooth and as nice and as calm and
he truly loves the breeding.
No, he likes the academics of it, the breeding of it. No, he likes the science of it and all that. He's not Brock. In other words, he's not just a forum junkie from back in the day that was trying to be the biggest ball guy around. He actually truly is a fucking nerd about
Brock loved Bush League. And
that was their clique though, bro. That was their clique. That was their thing. That was their space. Brock had his own private forum.
If you're gonna get anything from this chat with me and Sean is I'll tell you, it doesn't matter how good you breed or how well you invest in this. You're just not going to last in this industry if you don't truly love like the animals or reptiles overall. Because
the whole community as a whole. Like, you have to love the market. You have to love how it moves. You have to love the new faces, the old faces, the losses.
Yeah, because the market will burn you out, right? The rises and the peaks and the falls. Your breeder male dies or your female slugs out. Your customer calls you and tells you the animal's not eating. Like, there's so much stuff will burn you out, but your true love for the species or the industry, it could be for just the breeding, whatever. That's what's going to keep you going when the market's shit. Because you remember, Sean, 2017 and 18, the market was shit, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I did okay because of where I'm at in things, but remember, dude, I did a completely different thing than all the rest of you guys did. Yeah. I bought a piece of property that was very, very cheap, and I bought a building that I could renovate and kept it very cheap so that my 5-acre reptile farm only costs me like, fuck, dude, my mortgage is only $600 a month for this 5-acre property, and I rent the apartment upstairs for more than that, so it's like
you saw in 2017, 18,
if I wouldn't have had that, bro, I would have been many years along the way in the last 10. A couple times I would have been a little tight. I would have been like, oh, this isn't going to work for me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
like
not going to work.
17 and 18, I watched a lot of guys quit. I was very fortunate. The year before that, we just the house we were in, 2 houses before this, we went ahead and paid it off with the snake money. So we didn't have that much pressure on us, but I could imagine the amount of pressure that's on you when the market's slow, the drama in the industry. Right now, I feel like we're in a very good state in the industry. There's not a lot of drama like it was back then. Everyone is very uplifting. You can get a lot of help, a lot of inspirational stuff going on. But if you truly do love the species, and again, I don't tell you, you don't have to love the species. There's not a lot to love in ball pythons. They just sit around and do nothing. I personally love the genetics behind it. I love the industry, and I love the community. That's the one thing. is that I enjoy being at shows. I enjoy being at the auctions. I enjoy doing all of that stuff. So that is where my passion is. And again, I'm a natural salesman, so I enjoy the sales process.
And
but
that's built for your clientele too, dude. I mean, they catch wind of that, right? Like they catch some of your energy and they're like, oh, fuck, look what Vu's doing. I got to outdo Vu.
Yeah, so they can feel your enthusiasm. They can feel your passion with it. And that's how you build a good customer base.
Sure.
And if you are passionate about helping them become successful, they'll come back and spend more money with you anyways. And that's how you build lifetime customers. And if they're successful,
and now you've got this spot now.
Right.
I can ask you, because I could ask Marshall, or, because he did the show and Marshall's been around for a lot longer than most people. I could ask a few other people, but I'm going to ask you, like, how lovely is it when somebody messages you and tells you that you did something, you sold them an animal, you gave them some advice, you inspired them? Because I know you get that, because you're the guy that gets that, right?
Right.
Like you should be. If you're not, you should be getting that. You should have people coming to you and saying, Bob, I want you to know, I did this because of you. I did this, better. Man, that's got to feel good right now to have come to this spot where I know you have people that look at you like Miguel Garcia, that look at you like Ozzy, that look at you like Justin Kabilka, that look at you like, bro, you fucking arrived. You've arrived.
It truly is amazing. The community has really kind of embraced us. And Mary says it all the time, how amazing it is, where we went from pretty much attending these shows and I used to take selfies at shows with like people in the background. Like I have one picture with Mike Wilbanks behind me, and I'm like nerding out about meeting Mike Wilbanks. And to now going up and shaking his hand and him complimenting my snakes and stuff like that. And for people to message me and say like, hey, you've really inspired me to, build my collection this way, or, build a snake room this way, or to get into this industry. And it does feel good. It honestly, because a lot of those guys originally, Garrick DeMeyer, I watch all of his videos, Gundy and all those guys. I looked up to those guys a lot. And I tell Garrick almost every single time I see him, I said, hey, Garrick, I used to watch all your shows. He has the most boring accent in the world, but because of his, he's like a fountain of knowledge. I watched all of his videos back then when he did leopard geckos too.
Because I mean, anybody like Garrick's is automatically a multi-species guy. I mean, not that Wilbanks is not a multi-species guy, but Wilbanks is a python guy.
He's a python guy.
He's not a crested gecko and Australian gecko guy. He's not like, dude, you do isopods. Like I was at a Hooters with Nick and his son eating dinner after a reptile show, after a Slidell Herp show a couple months ago. And he shows me his phone and he said, dude, look what Bob Vu just bought in Schaumburg. And he shows me a picture that you sent him of a bispinosis isopod from Cuba. And I was like, holy shit, that got my blood flowing, bro. Like, you have no idea how. And I was excited too, because I automatically sent you pictures of other Cuban spiny isopods that you don't have yet that are very fresh to the country that you need to get on as soon as they come around. And everybody, he hasn't popped up here tonight. He might be on his way to a show, but Ben Quintana from isopod.com will be coming on this show in November or December for an off-topic Tuesday on isopods, where we can all just chat about these sexy little roly-polies. But what in the actual fuck inspired you to do that, other than they looked insane?
Oh, they look super cool, man. The guy came to me and it was like, hey, you want to check out some cool isopods? I'm like, hell yeah, look at some cool isopods. I don't know shit about isopods, by the way, other than I threw a few in my gecko tanks. Let me just say hey to Limey. I haven't seen Limey.
Limey's in the house now. Look at that. They all double the sexy tonight. And this is such an old friend that goes back to both of us, to our earlier days of when I first started, when I met Limey, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, he's everywhere but nowhere.
Right.
He's everywhere but nowhere. He's famous but infamous. I don't understand.
I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Honestly, and he has been so nice to me, even when I first got started doing shows. I was just a young whippersnapper, just coming.
Honestly, I think he likes my ex too. He likes Asian people, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I
good,
think
at
he has an
least.
Asian fetish.
Yeah, I have a
Limey's
pretty
got an
Asian face.
fetish.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all good. Let me pull up this freaking bispinosis. There you go, guys. That's what Bob Vu bought at Schaumburg was a bispinosis.
They're super cool. They are super cool.
That's fucking so awesome, dude. That's such an awesome isopod. And I was so happy to see you do that. And of course, I messaged Ben immediately, and I was like, "Bro, you wouldn't believe it. One of the big whiz of ball pythons bought isopods." He's like, "I'm telling you, it's happening." And I was like, "I'd like to say it was happening because of me." This is one of the other species in Cuba.
That's
that
cool.
will be available here in the next year. Hint stateside, it's being bred now.
I'll fly to Cuba, and somehow it ends up in my sock, I guess, or something. If
the Predator had an isopod in his collection, this would be it. Yeah, this would be it. Absolutely. So yeah, it's cool. How many little species of bugs do you work with? Do you mess with those?
I do beetles. I collected beetles. I have elephant beetles, stags, Hercules beetles.
See, this is all good for this ball python.
Japanese rhino beetles.
That's all you have is ball pythons. This guy's got so many interests. You have no idea.
So much random stuff. I keep bonsai. I have 8 trees outside.
Yeah, but that's copacetic. That's hand in hand. Reefing, bonsai, reptiles. You know who else is a bonsai? Mad Guru Bonsai? Vin Russo. Did you know Vin Russo is Mad Bonsai? You didn't know that? Really? Vin Russo is part of the Manhattan Bonsai Society, bro.
No, I'm Atlanta Bonsai Society.
Yes, talk to Vin Russo. And you get the royal treatment when you get to be with Vin Russo. John Piro used to be a ball python guy back in the day. He also did a lot of bonsai. But yes, Vin Russo. We will get Vinny Russo on this show to talk about his many years in the Manhattan Bonsai Society.
I'll tell you right now,
that is a knockout.
This is where the money is, guys. I hate that I'm on my laptop, so I can't walk you guys around that much. But this is where the money is. I'm gonna...
What, in trees?
No, guys. This right here.
Oh, collectibles, Pokemon cards.
That is where the money is.
That is where the money is. Collectibles, absolutely insane. Absolutely insane on collectibles, bro. There's no doubt. And I agree with Limey. Bob is just a very personal guy, and you have to like him. There's no doubt. And when I was mad and mean and acting out at the world, and I acted out against this guy, I realized how much of a fucking prick I was afterwards. You know,
hey,
but
John,
I mean, really,
no, I have fish. I keep betas.
Yeah, fish, betas.
Yeah,
okay.
Of course.
All right. No, not Asian. Of course. Fuck, not of course.
Like I'm that Asian. I keep betas, of course. Koi. I have koi in my pond and bonsai outside.
I was lasering coral frag racks when I was waiting for you. That's what I was doing. That's what this is. This is the frag rack for corals that I make for my other business. And yeah, I was at a coral show this Saturday. Actually, my very first one. I sold absolutely nothing. It was great.
Oh, I went to the Aquatic Show and it was all corals.
Oh yeah, it's mostly corals, at these type shows that I'm doing. But
they're pretty boring.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. That's been my first passion, bro. That's my first thing. The ocean's where it's at for me. Like
I was looking at those corals and I was like, this is how non-ball python people look at our setups.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, it's funny. I talked to 3 of my buddies that do coral frags, and they're coming to a herp show and setting up frags behind me, and then getting like all of these coral people to come to the reptile show just once. And It was great. Yeah. But like my reef buddies were so fascinated with how stupid reptile people were about the ocean. Yeah. And they were so annoyed. They were like, dude, I gotta come to this show with a fucking cover on my tank. These people just put their fingers in the water to point at stuff like it's okay. And I'm like, yeah, bro, you gotta put like no touching the water on your tanks. And he's like, yeah, but we're not used to that. And I was like, yeah, you go to a show that's only assholes like you. You can't expect the world to. And dude, they were so open to it. Like one guy was all day long was just so enthusiastic about answering people's questions. And the sad thing was the very next time the reptile show came, they all said, where's your guys with a coral? We're like, yeah, they didn't come back. But I've been wanting to see like a real deal aquashella get off the ground, like a real aquatic reptile experience that didn't bill reptile people out to ask for tables. Because I don't know if you knew that, but aquarium shows are insanely expensive compared to reptile shows.
Really?
Did you know that? So a table in NARBC, a table is around $400 still, from what I'm told.
Right.
Okay. A table the same size at MACNA, which moves around every year. It's in a different city every year, the Marine Aquarium Conference of North America. A booth, a 10 by 10 pipe and drape booth is $1,200 to $1,500.
Ooh.
An end cap starts at $4,000. And a standalone group of tables by themselves carry a minimum of $10,000. So, and this could be now look, granted, MACNA is a 3-day show, which is what I would love to see from a reptile show, because now all of these people supposedly do this full time.
Right.
So what would Tinley be like if you could set up on Thursday and you could be open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday? Because that's how the big aquatic shows are. They set up on Monday, bro, because you got to set up tanks.
Right.
Okay, so MACNA sets up on a Monday.
Is essentially a Friday, Saturday, Sunday show for me.
But it's not like I'm talking about making the vendors be set up by Friday morning.
Right. I understand.
Because the show's big enough now to where that many people could take that much time. Because you're telling me with the crowd in October Tinley, you're telling me that there's a bystander that no one recognizes that sees every animal in there? No.
You're right. You're right. It gives people a full day to kind of go through the thing.
Oh, and get to meet breeders and get to do, like, remember, MACNA, these aquarium conferences are more about getting to know your dealer than it is actually dealing with your dealer.
Right. So I feel the fish world is still bigger, obviously bigger than the snake world currently.
Sure. And a lot more expendable income in that field as well.
In Tinley, I set up on Friday. I am usually set up by 1 o'clock, and I've been from 1 till 7. Like Friday is a work day for me. Only for Tinley and Daytona mostly. Those are the two where I go in and I make money on Friday. Most of my money,
but you now know that that's part of business. Like when I was doing it in my earlier days of making a sizable sum, you were definitely set up as fast on Friday as possible to do business Friday.
You have to do business on Friday. That's just part of the deal. Yeah. A lot of these guys, I'm watching them drag in at like 5 o'clock on a Friday. And I'm like, dude, I already did 20 grand. Like, where have you been? You
already did 20 grand and they didn't want to spend a night in a hotel.
Yeah. So I don't spend a night in a hotel either. I'll be honest. I am that guy.
Okay,
we leave at midnight,
but still Thursday. never the mind the $200 when you said you did 20 grand by the time they get there at 5.
Right. Like if I had to spend the night in a hotel on a Thursday night,
deal.
Whatever, big deal, right? I leave my house at midnight on Thursday. I get there around lunch on Friday, and we're set up by 1 o'clock, and we're ready to sell. Like credit card readers are ready, and we're ready to go. I do that for all the major shows, Arlington and St. Louis. I kind of just hang out for about 2 hours, 3 hours and see how the crowd is. If it's busy, I'll stay. Tinley, I can't leave until 7 o'clock on a Friday. Like I'm there from lunch till 7 and I sell the whole time. Saturdays are great sales days. Sundays usually a little slower and we kind of just go say bye to everybody and wind down. But yeah, I think these shows, reptile shows has still need to evolve. They'll still evolve. I talked to
it's got to change from the same old 2-day run that it's always been. I think we have to change something up. I would have liked to have seen a ball python specialty show, even though a lot of people could call Tinley Park that.
I remember you mentioning that, where it's just all ball pythons. Yeah.
I mentioned that years ago. You are not allowed to bring a non-ball, period. And I think it could run. I totally think it could run.
I mean, that's what half the industry right now is ball pythons, I feel like, at least.
Brian Potter's thing is, what do you think Tinley is? I'm like, bro, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about making the Europeans want to come. I'm talking about making it want to be a stage. Hold a competition with judges. Make motherfuckers actually, reward people with stuff. Like to where, I won this, best desert ghost of the year. Or something like that, to where you're like, Kabilka produces this really nice stuff, but did you hear about this guy over here that nobody's heard of that's produced this fine ass thing? I just think that there's some room there. Okay. So I think it's that could
work. I'm talking to a vendor, a promoter today about diversity at a show. And his thing is like, he doesn't want more than 20% of his show to be ball pythons. He prefers 10%. So, and I'm
that's
okay
probably
with that.
not doable. That's probably not doable.
It's doable. He did it in Atlanta, and we had everyone that vended made money.
Well, good. Tell him I'm going to be sending him an application this week, and then I expect no wait time because I'm not a ball python breeder anymore.
You'll probably get in. You'll probably get in because
corns and kings and milks and things and all that type of shit.
The sucky part of that is that guys that won't get tables, right? Because there's so many ball python breeders. There will be guys that won't get tables, but as long as I get tables, I'm okay with it. But no, honestly, it's great. I go to the show. There's a bunch of diversity. There's boas. There's a lot because in Tinley, so many people are on that wait list. As soon as somebody drop out, someone's coming in. For his show, if there's an open spot, he gets to weed through and be like, "Ooh, you know what we need more of? A gecko breed or a isopod."
Yeah, we need Mike's monitors to come down with something.
Right, we need something
that's
like
rare.
that. So I think that's going to be pretty good for shows, and that's people. Because remember, if a family of 5 comes into your show, they pay $50 to get in, and all they see are ball pythons. Just like me going to they
get upset. Show. I mean, dude, they get upset. I read the shit they post.
Right, they want to see bugs, they want to see boas, they want to see all kinds of shit, and I think they deserve that for going to a reptile show
and paying admission to get in there, as it's almost a visit to the zoo for some of these folks to have come in there. But I think also, wherein does that add so much more hard work for the promoter? But you and I have done enough shows now that we know we have an opinion on how we'd like to see it done.
Okay, so and it's doable. Okay, because I'm talking to a promoter today that's doing it right. I spent the weekend with Bob Ashley. They're doing it right.
And that promoter is getting a fairly sizable amount of traffic into his shows, too. He's not just running. I mean, there's some shows out there that are running real bad right now. And I don't want to mention.
Now, are those shows beneficial to the industry? The badly ran show.
Well, I don't think Repticon's beneficial to the industry. Now, having said that, are the badly promoted shows beneficial to the industry? No, they're not really beneficial, other than the fact that anything is beneficial. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, where would some of these people be visiting their weekly reptile fix? Would it be Petco? Would it be the local reptile specialty store, which is extremely rare to find in America still? Or is it the reptile show that pops up every once a year?
Here's my opinion on this, and I'm going to answer Chris Osborne's question real quick. I sell a lot more at my stage, I guess, in my career now. It's most of our animals are investment quality animals. I don't sell so many more pets. I think because of my breeding. We don't produce as many. So most of the animals are going to be ranging about $500 to $1,500 range, mostly of what we sell. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to answer about the show. So here's the thing. Let's say you're a family of 5. You go to your local reptile show because there was a flyer for it or whatever, and you go to a show. You go out there, and it's a poorly ran show, and there's 25 vendors. Okay, I consider 25 vendors or less to be a not very good show, or a small show. You go out there. It can be
an amazing show if utmost care is paid into who's invited to be those 25. It can be an absolutely insane show,
right?
A stacked show, much like a fucking fantasy football league with 8
because
players.
Some vendors are bringing a bunch of inventory, a lot of species, cool stuff. However, a poorly ran show, and you got imports there, and you got junk animals, you got a guy selling adult toys, you got another guy selling gutters. So you go to one of those shows, you paid $50 to get in, okay?
Right.
And you have a terrible experience. Your child did not get to even interact with a breeder, didn't get to ask any questions, didn't get to hold a snake. So I make it a point, if you're a child and you come to my table and you ask to hold a snake, one of my guys are going to take a snake out for you to hold. We have snakes that are literally for kids to hold. And the reason for that is that kid is going to go tell his friends or his aunt or whoever when he goes home, and say, what did you do this weekend? I went to a reptile show and I had an awesome time, blah, 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 blah. Or he's going to go home and be like, man, I went to a Repticon this weekend and it was like the worst thing in the world. There's animals in little tight cups. They look like they're dying. Like those people don't care about their shit. All this stuff, that kid's going to influence 50 other people to view reptile breeders to be bad people. Or he's going to view us as passionate people who actually care about what we do. So I feel like these poorly ran reptile shows with poor ethics and vendors are hurting the industry more than what they're doing. I don't
Ultimately,
care.
you have to be a positive force forward as an ambassador to your hobby, is what you're saying. And I think you are that ambassador to your hobby. I'd like to think that I have been that ambassador to my hobby with the number of people that I still to this very day
Who
get
you
into the hobby
is so important because that person influences 50 other people from their personal experience with you. And for these people, I don't care if you donate money to USARK as a show. I don't care what you do. But if you're going out here and throwing on rankedy shows where this child is influenced in a negative way, looking at our industry and going, all these reptile people are trash. They're not ever going to want to buy a snake. They're going to tell their friends not to ever buy a snake because all the reptile people are trash. Or you can sell them a good snake, or you can just teach them. You don't even have to sell them anything. Just teach them about the industry, teach them about what we do and what we're passionate about. 10 years from now, when that kid's 19, 20 and have money of their own, they'll come back and be like, man, I remember going to a show 10 years ago and this guy was teaching me all this stuff, and that kid will be the future of this industry. I don't think people right now, I say people, some people right now are not caring enough about the future of this industry, and they're just trying to make a quick buck. And I think that's where some of these shows or some of these vendors or breeders or whatever are a detriment to the industry overall.
Okay, I think you said that pretty well, though. I mean, I think that's pretty well said. I think it's deserved by some. I think some make their beds and we're more or less, they got a lie in them. Repticon being a main one, because I can honestly say that I'll never participate in that circuit ever again. Unless I'm just absolutely have no option otherwise. Like, I have to have an absolute no last resort. No, only because of how they've played it with, bad vendors or people that have fucked up animals on tables or whatever. But most of the show circuits in the States are pretty decent. Brian Carter said there's 42 shows a year within 2.5 hours of my driveway. And that's the problem. That 4 years ago, he said there were 6 to 8 shows in that same area. Now, I will bring this up. The Slidell Herp show is one of the herp shows that happens here 3 times a year. And it does happen 3 times. And I'm fine with that, bro, because I do fine at it 3 times a year. Okay. I sleep in my own bed. I don't complain about it at all. Now, another big ball python breeder lives, a few miles away from me right here. He hates the fact that it's more than once a year. But it's like, dude, you have to understand, we still have no reptile store here, Bob. When I closed Exotics by Nature's doors in 2010, no reptile specialty store ever reopened its doors. So where would people buy mice in bulk and ReptiChip and PVC enclosures and, I hate to say sugar gliders and hedgehogs and all the other shit that's at a herp show but it is an exotic animal show.
I think every show, every major city, like let's say,
I mean, Atlanta got hammered, right? I mean, and now you've got a big show there.
I think every major city deserves 2 shows a year. Okay. And I think that's a cap. That's a good 2 times a year is a good number because that customer base can go to that show twice a year, get all their material needs. And if not, they can travel 2-3 hours away to another major city and go to that show. I used to drive 3 hours to Atlanta to go to the show 2 times a year. Then I did it 4 times a year. Now there's, I think between Show Me Show, Repticon, and this new show, and there's 9 Atlanta shows a year. That's almost every month. There's a show in Atlanta. That's ridiculous.
Right. But now there's nobody going to police that. As long as promoters are making dollars doing that, nobody's going to stop. Right. And I also
let me answer a few of these questions real quick. I hate ignoring questions.
No,
so I'm going to answer the at what time do we call higher end animals?
I did see that.
So I'm
from
answer
Savage
that
Constrictors, yeah.
The reason we call them investment quality animals, and I use that as a slogan to start with, is because I want people to look at the ball python industry as an actual investment. Even if it's not a monetary investment, you are investing time. You are investing 3 years of your time into this animal, into this project. I know a lot of people that buy in on this, and they only have one breeding project. They have 6 animals. It's still investing of time and space and whatever emotions, so
resources.
Right, resources. You're still investing. The higher animal, again, a $500 animal is still an investment animal. Now, when we say investment quality animal, is that's when you're actually shopping for an animal for that project. You're not just going, okay, what's the cheapest clown female I can buy? At that point, you're looking for what's the prettiest clown female I can buy for this project. Is it a busy clown, reduced clown, whatever? So that's where the investment side came in, and we used the word investment so that other people can take our industry more serious too. We're not just buying two snakes and throwing them together. We are actually investing time and resources into this project and what we're doing. And I'm gonna scroll down here. Another question here.
Yeah, I could.
How do I treat for shows post shows? So
yeah, there you go. Hang on, let me read that. Forward Motion asked, "How do you treat for post show treat for mites after a show?" Bob, I asked because Frontline discontinued their spray. That was my go-to.
Okay, Frontline was the go-to, but now don't worry. You can go online and look up a chemical called Fipronil. Fipronil is the only active ingredient in Frontline. You can get that in a concentrated solution. Mine comes in this giant jug, and I dilute that down 1 cup per 2 gallons of water, and everything gets treated the week after the show. Again, I only do 12. I think this year we did 11 shows all year. 11.
How do you administer it? You spray it down?
I spray directly on the snake.
You just miss the cage with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The whole snake tub and all. I take the water bowl out, spray
the water bowl out, right? Drinking water out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the stuff is 100% safe. I've tested it on an animal obviously beforehand. I have actually found mites in my collection about 1.5 years ago, and I actually picked the mites off and dropped them into the solution and see how long it takes them to kill them. I did the whole thing. I tested that versus what's this permethrin, and then I also tested it against Nix. And
now, and then permethrin and Nix is also permethrin, if I'm not mistaken,
same
and that's
thing,
going to cause that's going to be a lot of the cause of your birth defects in ball pythons, guys.
Right,
small eyes, short jaws, malformations in that way, especially head malformations. If you're having a large amount, I had a customer not long ago send me a picture at like clutch after clutch of like fucked up looking snakes, Bob. Like they were weird looking snakes. And I asked him if he had treated his entire collection with permethrin this season early on. And he said, yeah. And I said, sadly, you overdid it. And you can see it in the babies because of the way it works and the whole, the toxin gets dumped in the calcium of the eggshell, and the baby is subjected to the chemical.
You can see it on animals when you spray the permethrin on them directly. Anyways, they act funny.
Oh, they definitely act funny. They definitely act funny. Absolutely. So do me a solid, brother. If you want to make this a real good, solid podcast for these folks, send me a link to the product you use, and I'll put it in the description of this podcast. And that way, maybe they can check it out. Since
you got it.
That would be helpful because I do think that that's a big thing for a lot of people is going to shows. And I mean, look, guys, I'll tell you how Mark Bailey used to do it. Just Prevenamite every show. He'd do the floor and the tablecloth and the top of the displays. And it's like, dude, you could tell the guy was a basket case when he went home because of it. And I've brought mites home from a show. I brought mites home from a show that was the worst, Bob? Daytona of 2005. Do you know why?
Really? Wow.
You know why? Because Katrina hit us the week after Daytona, and I had a mite outbreak in the hurricane power outage. So it was the perfect weather for those fuckers to go manic, manic, bro. Yeah. They went fucking manic, and we couldn't see shit with no lights on and stuff. So we were literally treating the entire collection, while we were doing generator and stuff like that.
I've gotten mites at shows you wouldn't believe. I'm not going to mention them, but so CRM is mentioning that some big cities like Philadelphia can't have hots in the city. First of all, 99% of the human population don't need to keep hots anyways.
I agree. I mean, they're fun to have there at the show to see them. And to educate people, they are, but they're really not a mainstream.
Like, how do you vet someone at a show buying a Cobra from you, right? Like, it's the vetting process should be way more.
I mean, the guys actually, my next laser job is for Mike Jolliffe, actually, to make him stencils for his boxes, for spray paint stencils for his company, so he could spray paint all of his Venomous boxes. But he wants me to make him some table like logos, like LED signs, to try to get kids over to be more interested in the fact that there are Cobras on the table. And that, it's like, dude, people don't find my display interesting because my Cobras don't have their hoods up. And I think people need to understand that a cobra that's comfortable and placid doesn't have its hood up.
Right.
And I was like, good point. And I do like our venomous thing here, Bob, because it does bring an extra added educational spin to our shows. And the state can't do a fucking thing about it because of how we pass the laws here. You know, like you said, your state can make good money from the corn snake permit. Ours makes good money from the corn snake permit, but from the venomous and the boa constrictor, the constrictor permit, they make nothing. We passed it in a non-fiscal quarter to where they can't charge us for it. So they have to do it.
I have nothing against venomous snakes.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. I enjoy just, you know, all that. Just the 99% of the general population, too dumb to keep them. But honestly, with the big cities, so inside the city of Dallas, you're not allowed to sell, I think, any pythons other than ball pythons. That's inside the city of Dallas.
Right. That's why the show's in Arlington.
That's why the show's in Arlington. And that's why the show's in Fort Worth. Inside the city of Houston, you cannot sell a snake that will grow over 8 feet. Inside the city of Chicago, there are certain rules. That's why the show is in Tinley Park.
But in a state like Texas, your constrictor permit can be purchased from Walmart.
Yep. But you still can't keep it inside the city of Houston.
No, you can't. No, you're not outside the city limits, right? Yeah.
New
Orleans is the same way, bro. New Orleans is the same way. You can buy it here and pay the sales tax on it because you bought it, but you can't own it here.
Right. So there's a lot of outside ways you can go around it, right? Inside the city, let's say inside the city of Atlanta, there's an issue. You just move it into Marietta. It's like 8 minutes away. Just literally go to a different venue. Inside the city, you know, that's a reason there's not Tinley Park is Tinley Park, not Chicago. You know, Arlington is Arlington, not Dallas. You know, stuff like that. And again,
I think Pennsylvania is one of those.
You guys not want to vend shows, guys. Shows are great. I make great money at shows.
Great way to meet people. Great way to make cash. Great way to get your cash flow going. And also a great way to pick up new stock because you never know when somebody's going to walk by and ask you if you want to trade some ball pythons for some crazy Cuban isopods.
And
you might
I traded an Enchi Pied for those isopods.
Yeah, an Enchi Pied for a group of
fucking bugs.
Badass isopods. Yeah, for sure. So what's on the? I think, dude, the knowledge base here from you in the last few years is great to see. I love how much you've learned and how far you've come. And just how open you are to helping these people out. Forward Motion said, I didn't go to Tinley because I was worried about mites. That's not really as much of a worry in Tinley Park because first of all, it's cold up there. Second of all, there's so much going on. As long as you're not letting people hold your snakes and like really manhandle them, and your neighbor is not, I mean, dude, honestly, it's Tinley Park. Okay. I'll tell you guys a quick story about Tinley Park. This is very many years ago, Bob, but one of the guys that worked for Barchak, one of the younger kids, was trying to get into ball pythons, and Barchak and I both told him the way to do it was to buy a fucking bunch of normal female adults. This was in like 2006, you know? And so the kid goes to this table in Tinley Park and he buys a bunch of big fucking female adults and he brings them back to the table and he's like, man, I got this great deal on these big females. And I'm like, from who? Some guy over a few aisles away, and he opens up the bag and he shows them to us. Dude, they got ticks all over them. You know, they were obviously wild caught. They were obviously fucking African wild caught imported ball pythons.
Yeah.
And Barchak was fucking pissed that the dude did that to his employee because the kid was like 17, 18. Right. The kid wasn't very old, you know. Barchak was pissed, and I was standing there, and I'm like, bro, you ought to tell Potter something. This is a captive bred only show. I'm sure he would like to know that guy is over there selling these animals like this. And dude, Potter straight and gave the dude his money and to get the fuck out of the show. It's like, anybody need an extra table? I got an extra table right here. Just gotta get the fuck out of here.
A show promoter should do.
And that's what a show promoter should do. You know, I've seen Sean from Herps ask someone to leave. I've seen Wayne Hill ask somebody to leave, but not for the same good reasons that these fucking guys did. You know, when Wayne asked somebody to leave, it was more for his own personal pride than anything else. But yeah, nobody asked me for my Wayne impression tonight, thankfully. You know, I apparently do. I would give a very good Wayne impression. It's really good. It's so good that I'm probably not ever going to get tables there ever again.
You're never going to bend Daytona again.
I don't know. I'll be there. You know, and he'll be like, oh, Sean, I heard you had a good impression of how I talk. And Yeah, he gets to going, man. I mean, dude, I called him to get into this Daytona, Bob, and I was on my way to a reptile show, and I called him at like 7:00 my time, so it was 8:00 in Florida. Who is this? This is Sean in the wheelchair. Oh, Sean, it's been so many years since you have called me, and I have to tell you, you've forgotten what time of the day I do business. And I would like you to call me back during a more appropriate time. And I was like, okay. And I never called him back because I just don't think of it that much. Before 4:00 my time, very few thoughts pass my brain.
Hey, Chris, let's go to Hamburg together, man. Hamburg.
See if the stories are true. I've never been to Hamburg either. And that would be an epic show to go to just to say you did. I don't think you can be a vendor. Like, you probably have to wait still. Like,
oh, no, they told me if I wanted to vend.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. You're Bob Boo.
You got to bring the animals out there. It's a long way.
Oh, yeah, it's a long way. How far is that to drive for you?
To Hamburg?
Yeah, that's probably like fucking, what, like 11?
No, 10? No, the other ham.
Oh, you mean ham. No, Hamburg, we're talking about Hamburg, PA.
Oh, no, I'm talking about ham.
You're talking about ham? That's not Hamburg. You're talking about Ham, Germany. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, I mean, that would be fun to go to, I guess. I mean, you'd meet all those people that, you wouldn't necessarily, so
I've had 3 of them come in and fly in to Atlanta and stay with me for a few days already.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because my place is easy. You fly in Atlanta, I come pick you up.
Oh, Atlanta's the greatest. Atlanta's the bomb, dude. If you can get anybody to help you in Atlanta.
From the airport, we have good sushi, we have good food here, and you just spend a few days with me. But no, Germany, they say that show and ham makes Tinley look small.
Yeah, but it's a handoff, right? Like, do you think there's really that much show business going on there?
No. They say the market is not even close to what we have.
The market's not there. It's just a place to go pick up. Like, if you figure that everybody in Russia and China that can't legally import anything drove there to buy shit and to pick their shit up. I mean, that's how Peter in Russia that watches this show got his shit.
I want to go there and meet these, everyone we talk to from the other countries and see all the weird species they work with.
That's the one thing I say I never did with my shit that I want to do, Bob. Like, I really don't. There's not a lot that you guys are doing now that makes me feel bad. Like, I feel bad that I'm not making money like you are, but I'm also not feeling bad that I don't have a giant room full of ball pythons and everything. I'm not really feeling that bad about it. But I am feeling bad, however, in that I reflected on the few things in this industry that I didn't do or that I didn't do well. First of all, I didn't do this podcast well, which is why I'm back to do a better job at this, to give you guys a better representation of yourself, not so much a representation of me. But I never got to go with my shit over there. I sent my shit over there plenty of times. Yep. Fuck, one of my partners, one of my friends here, Galen, who lives in Lafayette, Louisiana, worked for an oil and gas company. And we sent Galen over there once to the show just to do business. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm going over there and the oil company will pay for it. And then we'll make all this money and I'll just bring it back. And I'm like, oh, fuck, it sounds good to me. But I never got to go
next year. I think I have to fly next year. It does make sense for me to.
You should go. You should totally go. You should totally go. I wouldn't go
in deli cups, dude. I vended Columbia, South Carolina.
That's everyone, though.
Yeah,
that's
every Venomous cup. They had rhino vipers. They had gaboons.
Deli cups perfectly safe. I'm actually engineering a deli cup rack right now, a display for the Venomous guys to display cobras in deli cups.
Right.
Like, to where the deli cups will hang to where you can see directly to the deli cup and not be at any risk of the cobra spitting at you or envenomating you in any way. And honestly, dude, how many people are making venomous displays? Not many.
Yeah, right. All right, Sean, we've been on here for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm out of wine.
Normally, you're out of wine. Normally we wind down right at about 2 hours. So this is our wind down, but do me a favor. Stay with me for a minute so I can at least get a little bit of post show, since you gave me no pre-show. Because what I like to do is, there are so many of us that cannot watch this show.
Right.
That we listen while we clean cages. And so I normally record a little bit in the beginning and a little bit at the end for the audio people to have like a little tidbit that they didn't really get. So I'd like you to hang around for just a few minutes, and then I'll allow you to fill your glass of wine on the way to hang out with your family, your wife or whatnot, and enjoy the rest of your Friday night. But look, man, I thank you so much for coming and do this show. I think, any more voodoo clown combos cooking up, you might have to watch his social media for that.
Stay on my Instagram. I got 2 more.
Why don't we just share all that? Bob Vu. It's bobs.balls on Instagram. He's already got 14.9 thousand followers. Maybe you might want to talk to Shane Kelly, one of the sponsors of this show, because he has 16.2. So, I mean, I don't know of anybody else that's really ranking and beating your ass, but Shane's beating your ass. But yeah, go check out bobs.balls on Instagram.com. MorphMarket is also Bob's Balls. It's not hard to find you. And you don't do any YouTube shows or anything of your own, right? You don't do any of your own self promo.
I do not.
Right?
I suck at it.
Okay, well, that's okay. Brian Carter will see you in St. Louis in a few weeks. I should probably go to St. Louis to sell some things because I am completely not doing well on MorphMarket right now. So I don't know. I might figure that out. But anything else that you want to say to these wonderful people? Thank you so much for doing a ball shit after all this time.
No, I appreciate it, man. Enjoyed being on for sure.
Yeah, and I really look forward to talking with Cedric more about the NFT project. Please don't kill it. I think it still has space. I think we can get people in it. I think we just have to get a little bit more pizzazz and make it a little easier and then force it on people, bro. Like, force it on them. Like, if you start doing it and I start doing it and a few other people start doing it, maybe it'll be a thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty much how it goes. So, all right, guys. Yeah, he's a few followers away from 15,000, whatever. Yeah, he's got me beat. I need to learn a few things from this guy. But yeah, thanks a lot, Bob. I'll keep you aside for just a second and we'll dial it out. Okay.
Yep.
All right, brother. Thank you again. All right, everybody. Well, there goes Bob. And I'm going to get him for a couple minutes on the back end since I didn't get him on the front. And thank you so much. I think that 2 hours flew by. At least it did for me. I hope I didn't talk too much, but I think that we really covered some ground. I'm glad we did all that boring crypto and NFT talk in there because I think it's something that when anyone talks to this guy, they don't talk about that. And obviously this guy invested his time and his money in that. So it meant something to him. So it meant something to me when he did it. So guys, keep looking out here for an off-topic Tuesday with maybe he'll be Cedric the Entertainer of the Hour, that hour for us. Desanya, I think is his last name. There's a few Canadians that are happy to hook it up, and I've already talked to Cedric about it, and that being the subject. Thank you, Brian Carter, for finally catching one live. Bob, Reptile, thank you for catching this one. Scott, Mike Narita, Will, all you guys. Ball Python Project. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for a good night. I'm going to dial it out now. And guess what's Tuesday? I haven't even put it out yet. I'm going to put it out tonight or tomorrow. Off Topic Tuesday this week, the 25th at 7 p.m. is Adeline Robinson to talk about how fast her hands work and how she wishes she had more hands. Because I'm pretty sure she can only draw that well with one of the two hands. So therefore, she is limited. Bob Vu can build building after building after building for ball pythons, but Adeline has one fucking hand. That's got to be frustrating. So catch back with us on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for another lovely female to join me on the Ball Shit podcast. And thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate you. Good night.